Okay, I'm gonna continue talking here about a couple of movies, Semi-Pro, and then how it's gonna link up to the Legend of the Guardians, the owls of the G-hole. You know, G-hole. You know, gotta understand what the G is now, and that's Gimel. That's that camel. That's that wanderer. That's that Cain. That's all about raising Cain, as I said, producing the material construct for the spiritual identity, personality, presence of the fallen prince to go into. So the G-hole, you know, that's the abyss, right? That's the well of Jacob. That's the bottomless pit. That's the Apsu. But it's not in the physical sense where you guys keep talking about some drilling down by BP and opening up the bottomless pit and all that crap. That's so superficially out of scope with the highest reflection of the objective of this arrow's aim. You know what I mean? And if you really believe that, then you just, wow, they really got you. Now it's going into the material construct, as we know that CERN has already endeavored and professed to be victorious of by finding the God particle. And then you would link that up in this movie with what they're looking for, with these blue flecks that are metallic. Yeah, and then we see the blue arcing, and then we think about Blue Beam Project, Blue Book, Little Boy Blue, and the Man in the Moon, you know, all of that. And then once you do that, you can kind of tell what's happening down here. But there's so much happening in the movie with the Guardians that, you know, you kind of have to understand what's happening right here first. You know, because of course it's about an Aryan dominance, you know, all those which think they're so fair but yet deal so unfairly and unjustly with everyone else due to the irony in their life. Let's take a real close look at Mr. Jackie Moon. Real close. And take a real close look at his eyes. And while you're doing that, take a real close look at these two eyes. And this is video I've probably done, I don't know how long ago, maybe over a year ago or something like that. Notice how the right eye, of course, saying darkened right there. And then we got the left eye supposedly wide open and illuminated, right? And we put this into the perspective of a cube a long time ago. Of course, it shows us the divisions of the brain and then the appropriate symbology that connects to the eyes. And then this is where the Masonic checkerboard has at least developed its root of division from, and then its philosophy about it. And then, of course, who's divided upon it. And then many of them would be on the same team. At least they think they are in their fantasy. As Mr. Jackie Moon professes in the movie, as he's speaking to some of his supposed brethren. Now you should understand what Mr. Jackie Moon is telling you with his eyes. And of course, this is definitely designed. Notice his right eye is exactly like the right eye that I've already showed you guys. Just barely open, and then notice the illumination of the left eye. Now look at Mr. Jackie Moon, and the fractal would be complete. Incredible how the Spirit give this to me. Incredible. Unreal. Unreal. How the Spirit does that. So we would see that he's definitely the idol shepherd. But who is he shepherding wrong here to destruction? Well, Lord have mercy. Does that seem kind of familiar? Because remember, they've already been blasting into the matter itself already. You know what I mean? Blasting it, blaspheming it over and over and over again. You know, and then all the other things that go with the racial connection of the fractal as well. So then we got this guy over here that would think that he's legit, you know. Of course, if this guy's not legit, then this guy must be legit. But remember, this is the rock or at least who's going to get the bulk of it, and then this would be the hard place, which is interesting because in the movie he gets his heart on. You know what I mean? And then look who's right between the rock and the hard place, which thinks he's all centered, but in all reality he's all sinner. And it's right there. You can't see it, then you're wrapped up in racial doctrines, of which Jesus Christ is not wrapped up in. What he's doing is wrapping everyone in his arms of love and forgiveness, even these people that seek to commit this act. Yep. Got an amazing God, and he certainly isn't the symbology of this guy right here. That's for sure. Nor this guy. Nor this guy. But, you know, there's so much more to understand with all this, you know. Even when we go down to the tropics, let's just think about this. Let's think about the castaways with Gilligan's Island, the red and the blue. The castaways. And then what would the island have to be now? Huh? Well, the ocean would have to be space, as we would go in preference to the Duat, in reference to the Egyptian Book of the Dead, in reference now to the Pharaoh's flight to the netherworld, the place of millions of years. And of course we know that that space, I mean, you look at all the stars right there on the astronomical depictions of it, and they're trying to reach this high location. Well, so now the tropics would have to represent what? It would have to represent an island, in a sense, floating in the density or semi-density of space. And then there we have the moon. There we have the moon. There we have the castaways that are what? You see the red and the blue in reference are now sealed somewhere. They're sealed somewhere. They want to get off that island. Remember, the ship is the SS Minnow. Sons of Sam. The men of O. Of course, they got some girls there. And we showed you how they got picked up and brought there from ancient times. But they want to come back. So then we would go now to the Legends of the Guardians, and then they'll show you in a convoluted, coded fashion their version of what they want you to believe is happening by bringing somebody back from that location. But we probably won't have time to get in that because I got to keep the videos a lot shorter. So let's just simply now, if we can see that Mr. Jackie Moon is representing his Aryan preference for the selection of the real rapture, and then of course who's supposed to meet the raptor, then we would have to see the significance here of the acorn. And don't let the significance of blue acorns over here escape you, because the acorn is all symbolic of the oak tree. Now the oak tree, you can just simply do a little research for yourself and find out the connection with Aryan Nordic gods, Aryan Norse gods, and then of course Aryan gods in general. The oak tree is the primary symbol. Now when it says acorn, are we not talking about the children of the corn that then divide themselves upon a horrific outcome for certain children of these corn that they're smacking the shit out of symbolically because they can't read the Bible and understand that these gods, in essence, the gods that were wrathful and doing all this and over controlling everybody, were Aryan. And then they're going to enact that same wrath and over control once again because they think it's righteous and it's just. It's been repeated in the past. It's been written on paper. It's got somebody's signature of a learned institution behind it. Then obviously then they think it's right to commit it, because then the pride steps in, and it's, I guess it's easy for them with this pride to do these things, you know. They feel like they're got that right, you know, that right to rule, that iron rod that so many people obviously don't understand. So now we go back to the acorn, and then what would be the crux of this movie with the owls? Well, as I said, it's once again a division like divide and conquer. Like the red and the blue, and then there's a peculiar wordplay with red and blue that literally says Red Bull, and then it spells Erd Bull. It's incredible. The Erd Bulls are the blue bulls that are hurting the red bulls, when in all reality they're supposed to be making everybody think they're coming together, when in all reality they're dividing. And then this is what puts a certain amount of heritage of mighty men in these people's hands that they're trying to deceive, that they're using as the carrot, tempted before themselves as the ass, which is now pulling the male cart. We know who thinks itself is in the male cart, and that would be the remnants of Dan as they see themselves that have made it to the high place, which really are sealed, and now need to trick everybody into breaking the seal to bring them out. You'll see that in the movie. So to completely support the Aryan significance of what this is all about, like I even said, when you say the word Sumerian, you're saying some Aryans. And then Satan is supposed to be the prince of the powers of the air, and then we get Aryans, once again, going up and down, to and fro, all over the earth. You know what I mean? This guy looks pretty Aryan, doesn't he? He's got that hooked nose with that sandy hook, and then that left hook, the Sandman, right? Somebody's getting the left hook. You can see who is truly implied against, and then all those that have, I guess, fallen to these people as being golden, you know what I mean? Like the golden child, as we saw in that movie. And you know what nationality or racial stigma was applied. And then let's think, you know, now the youth being led idly by these shepherds, and I guess in attempts to coax them and see who is, in their mind, got the right stuff. And then guess what? You know, they're falling to all the rap music, and then they're putting all these Africans in the rap world and all this stuff as their idols. And then when they do that, that's when they're saying, you guys are marked, right? And then they're saying they're not so golden anymore. And then they put the yellow color on the Africans now. And I said that's a connection with this fear, by putting the fear of God in them with that smackdown. And then this represents the slipping of the banana peel. And then if you would watch Serena Williams, or Venus Williams, now think Venus, and then they think their Venus is enlightened and Ishtar and connected to all that. And then yesterday on CNN, almost in perfect timing with what I'm revealing, Venus Williams lost a match to somebody wearing a bright yellow hat. And that bright yellow hat would represent the banana peel. Ba and Ka, in reference to spirit personality and soul personality from ancient Egypt. And then we get the Ba Nana. We see who's getting that. We see who in efference, interestingly enough, we see in essence from their plan that they're going to cause some people to slip on some yellow banana peels in connection with fear, smacking a fear of God in somebody, as we saw at Scootsy Doubleday, the African Americans, and of course those abroad. Everybody mixed in between too. So this yellow color is going to be important. They're going to switch it up real quick after I say what I say, but you'll see it, seeing all the connections, and it's locked into these movies. And I'll show you to a guy that is like the supposed best friend here, and his name is Cornelius. Now corn is yellow, is it not? And then children of corn, now they're thinking they're the corn, right? Then they're thinking they're the gold. But now they realize now the banana peel, the banana, is causing them to slip up, making them think in essence they're now being welcomed in with the Ka Nana. And then we know that Nana is Inanna in reference to Ishtar, the moon. Color yellow, old yellow, or are you yellow? And that would be in fear. That's an old time saying for being in fear, is yellow. But also it's intrinsic with gold, right? And then people being made to think they're gold, and then being duped by other people that have got the silver, right? And then the silver is the 30 pieces of silver that bought the potter's field. The potter field is what? A necropolis. And I told you that represents the field of dreams. At least the translation after the flip of the switch for these people here that have been given the false American dream, which put them into slavery in the first place. It was that very American dream that brought them as slaves to it. And now it's the very same American dream that is duping them by the idol shepherds who instigated it. Wow. Seems like my mind can track the ins and outs of the House of Mirrors so efficiently that you would have to think that there's spiritual guidance going on here. You know, I know it is. So now we come back to the acorn. And you've probably researched the Aryan gods. Probably some of you think that you're revering them and love them and think it's all hunky-dory because you're Aryan too, and you've been flipped into some switch of materiality as being a part of spirituality. And in reality, it's just the veil. Now you've put the veil on your faces thinking it was the objective. So you look into the veil for the fabrics of time, and they become ruffled, and they become hazed, and they become stagnant with the breath of your own mouth. You know what I mean? And then you start thinking it's your living word that's created everything. And really it's the kiss of death that you've accepted as the living way, when in all reality, it's brought you to the dead end, where the sidewalk ends, and now you're wondering about that missing piece. You know? Shel Silverstein, right? Silverstein, the shell. Shell of it all, right? That's the material construct. You know, it goes in and out, without a doubt. But are you able to fully come out of it once you have entered into it, because you were unable in the first place to correct the rights or the wrongs of your mind just by simply living simply like a child in the truth? that Jesus Christ showed us all how to do. You know? Showed us all how to do. But I mean, I guess you thought he was living a code and speaking about a pair of bulls. You know what I mean? Hiding one thing from the red and giving another to the blue. But in all reality, the parables themselves were, in essence, the confounding of both bulls, in which we see they have been confounded completely and outright from the truth of his parable, from the beginning as we see till its end. Doesn't have to be that way, but yet they turn to numerology and etymology and constrained sciences that are already a product of a destructive catalyst. And then now the catalyst contains the science that is the repercussion of the destruction that now you think is the creation, unfortunately. So now all your creative sciences are destructive because you've entered into the house of mirrors, thinking it's all right. Two wrongs don't make a right. And those two wrongs, as we see, ain't making these people right, as you would understand. This guy's number is 11, which is interesting because, man, it's going to come together with the two towers and how each of them see themselves as a reflection in the mirror of the other, which creates the equational abyss in which this person now is trapped in. Thinking he's seeing eternity, but what he's seeing is a stagnant cycle of the serpent eating his own over and over and over again. Just like when you put those two mirrors face to face, the position he's in right now. And then there's his mirror, face to face, right? Face to face. We've already shown you what happens by the division of his mind, though, because he ain't bringing two together, he's only bringing one. And then when you mirror the three to the other three, it makes the 8. And then as we see, we know who really ate that apple to begin with. Hook, line, and sinker. And then we know who's really on the other rod, making him think he's on the rod. But in all actuality, he's the baited hook. And then he's baiting his hooks with everybody else, trying to raise Leviathan. As I said, he's pretending to be a fisher of men. Go look at the movie DreamWorks, and then they got the crescent moon, and there's a little boy on there with his little fishing pole, fishing down below, thinking he's the fishers of men. As I said, the Sandy Hook reveals it's the fishers of Leviathan. Yeah, I could teach your club a thing or two. We could walk into the doors of the greatest of any of your institutions and literally right wrongs, not with wrongs, but with what's right. And that would be Jesus Christ. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's already happening now. So there's the acorns. Now you've looked up what? The Aryan connection with the oak. And then as you can see, the oak furniture with the 44. And then the connection. There's even the 44 in the movie here. You know? And who's the 44? Who's talking about somebody, a horse in the barn can't get out. And then the 44 is a guy named Twiggy Munson. Twiggy? Come on, Twiggy? Really, Twiggy? Hold on. Let's see how important that is for a moment, if I can find it. There we go. Okay, anybody remember the twig right here? There's the twig. Now remember I said the dude looking like a lady. Twiggy's Munson's number is 44. Now there's already a division from the sacred feminine right there that the Twiggy Munson is a dude. Of course they put eyeliner on in this movie too. Dudes that look like ladies. So there's your twig, and there's your Twiggy Munson. Okay? And you know, it just is absolutely interesting how all that comes together, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say? So this 1111 getting duped too, right here. And how it all is working out. The full trinity of their faction is going down. 3 is the magic number, right? 3 is the magic number. So So now we go here, and we're going to end this video here before I show you something about this wood more. Okay, you see how the X develops and the switch and the flip. There's another line here I haven't put down yet. Notice the wood grain and direction is going that way. Hairs of a cat laying over each other this way. It's still the same way. But look how the symbol changes because of the flip of the switch. You see that? It flip-flopped and it appeared to be going the opposite direction. But I can guarantee you it's not. It's only your perception. It's only your perception. And then there's where the X comes in, and then there's where the crossing and the flipping the switch, there's where the excessive force is going to come in now for the people that don't know, can't read the grain. And then here's the hourglass, the loss of orientation, the sands of time set in. Conditional attunement, life is adaptation, i.e. harmony without excessive force. What is all that going to mean when I come back to the next video and show you? Huh? What is all that going to mean that your scientists can't figure out? That they can't disprove? You know? What's it all going to mean? I tell you, it's going to mean a lot. So let's just take a little thing and I will show you that it's here. It's here, right here, right here. Watch this. Notice the red's over here. And this is an old document. And I told you I got this out of Time Life magazine. Time. Interesting. Red's over here on the right. Remember Scarlett O'Hara. Think everything about was Samson. Scarlet. And then hair. Esau, hair. The red, hair. And then all the deception that's wrapped up with that. And then scarlet, which I told you was crimson, birthing the crime son. How all this works out. And then how to New York, to some of us, represents the worst of society, but then to the Africans, they've shifted it to represent the best of society. They're all running around Revere, New York. It's about to be destroyed. Who's getting the mark of the beast? From the perspective of these Aryans. And then everybody else that's supposedly fall to the deception of these people like Jay-Z and all this kind of stuff that goes with it. That they propagated and taught these guys how to do that. And then they become the real instigators. You know what I'm saying? Instigate. Yeah. What gate? I think they're both going into the necropolis. They ain't coming out of it. Oh, boy. So there's the red over here. Okay? So watch this. When I flip this over to show you guys the back, watch what happens. Boom. Blue jams over here now. Blue jams over here. Now red's over here. See how the flip of the switch works? So how I flipped it. Okay? And then, of course, you got to see who's being marked red over here from the understanding. And then who's over here is supposed to be blue from the understanding concurrently as they give it to them. All right? And then now, remember what I showed you with the grain. And then Jesus Christ, parable of wheat and tares, all about grain, all about kernel of wheat as corn, children of the corn, field of dreams. And then there's the grain going that way. Jesus Christ, woodworker. Y'all might want to know a little bit more about woodworking, right? So then there's the grain, orientation. Grain still going the same way, all the way across. Still going the same way. How does that mark change? When it's still pointing this way, boom. Okay, it's still pointing that way. Grain's going the same way. But your perception has created the opposite. Your perception. Because you don't know enough. You don't know enough about the natural order of the world. The only thing that you know is what the supposed mirror is flipping the switch on you. And then, of course, they're leading you into destruction. So you cannot take two wrongs and make a right. Right's going to stay the way that it's been the whole time. Jesus Christ is changeless. It's you that must change. It's you that must currently change your understanding of what this guy's taught you. And start beginning to understand what I'm teaching you through the power of the Spirit. So what would that mean? It means that the blues, the real blues, if you look on the seal of the United States with the eagle trying to lift it up to a blue place, well, that's where those blue guys are sealed with the tetrahedron, as you know, because it's covering them. And then they're trying to bust the seal, as you'll see, with this connected with the blue flecks, and then how some guys that are good get stuck up there for what they would reveal to you as a few brief moments, but in all reality, it's probably thousands of years. But then now we see that the blue has come down to earth, and then they have blasted off into nowhere, the reds, to get rid of them. So it's a flip-flop of positions, right? And then, as I said, it's the old switcheroo. Well, who's the roo? Well, that's Kangaroo. Kangaroo who? Kangaroo Jack. Flip of the switch, right? I've already been telling you guys about that. Spirit told me about it and has, wow. Wow. So incredibly guided me so well that I'm just beside myself. The Mirror series I did now, with all of this info and now this proof of what I say as being real and manifest, that's incredible. That's just incredible. It's just incredible, 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 incredible. And then wait till you see how the wood is going to show it to you. And then understand how Jesus is the woodworker and still going to work all this out, man. You guys. Let's keep watching. So what would be the premise of this movie? As I said, they're dividing the identity of the owls because everybody thinks that the owls are bad now. And then they got the dudes at the Bohemian Grove, and it's been exposed that they're worshiping under the owls, and that's connected to Ishtar, that's connected to sacrifice, it's connected to Venus. So they had to divide that because they revere Venus, a.k.a. Lucifer, Venus, a.k.a. his feminine image, where it's the dude that looks like behind, the lady. You know what I said? Right there. There's the lady, and then look who's behind it. Boom. Everything I'm telling you right now. Okay, so they got to divide that because they got people in the mysteries that have got these Venus doctrines too, but they're not going to give them the benefit of what they think the Venus doctrines can bring them. So they divide the red and the blue, and then switch it around for one side, switch it around for the other side. But what we find is that, as I said, he's trying to stay centered between a rock and a hard place, which makes him the original sinner, because that's where the sin is born, between the rock and this iron. Rock and a hard place. And then the rock and the iron fusing together makes the meteor, the meteorite. And then Jackie 9 with this 69. You know what I mean? So now, this would be the good owl faction they're trying to show you. Defeating the bad owl faction, there's your medal. Alright? Defeating the bad owl faction, right? And then now they got the acorns right here at the center. In the subconscious, planted for only the highest initiates who obviously know the Aryan agenda. As I said, go look up the acorn tree. As I said, acorn, kernel of corn, represents what? Children of the corn represents third eye. As I said, represents the pyramidal complex, which is a ceiling for the ancient sons of God in soul form. And then we see another ceiling for these high sons of God in representation with this place in the upper that we see now as those that have been brought there from Ezekiel 17 that they're now trying to free. Well, when they divide the owl factions in two, as I said, in essence, this synthesis situation, and now one faction is evil. But they say that one faction that's evil is supposed to be the pure ones, giving them the genetic doctrine, giving them the connection with the blue blood geneticism, giving them the connection with the vampire fractal, giving them the connection with the blood sacrifice, giving it all to them, putting it all on them on the switch of the root. Boom! Right? As I said, it's getting put back on them with the switch of the root. Boom! Over and over again. Bam! Just like you saw him smacking the S-H-I-T out of him. So, if the other owls are supposed to be the pure ones, all about the race stuff that we know is all the SS with Hitler and the Aryans, the Germans, everything about it. Well, guess what? These are supposed to be the good guys that are not all about the race and the pure ones. Guess who their leaders are? 2 snowy white Arctic owls. How's that for a synthesis? Arctic owls, that's the Nordics, guys. And then how is it the Nordics? There's the acorns right there. Notice that there's blue acorns, little blue acorns right here that are associated with what? A digger. So this is where a certain portion of the diggers, or at least the blues, think the right thing to do is to dig down. And then the other portion of the acorns connected with this yellow think it's the right thing to go on up. But then we see who's being mixed with the up, which would be the yellow and the nana, and then the banana suit. You get me? And then slipping on banana peels. Right? Wow. So who's really the Aryan pure one, passing it off to somebody else, and then at the same time trying to pass off the Orion iron symbolism to get away from it, so that all the other people say you're the Man of Steel, which we already know the Man of Steel is a connection of who? Red and blue coming together. What we see, he's ain't bringing no reds and blues together. He's causing more blood and more destruction, and in his opinion, that's creation, and it's not. It's not creation. So these would really be the connection to the Arctic Nordics and the Aryan supposed pure one race that you saw went haywire with Hitler, connected to the SS and the Sons of Sam and everything that I revealed. And then they're making that look like it's the good guys, the Guardians the whole time, who? The Masons. They're making it look like it's the Masons are the good guys that are not all about the pure ones and the mask of iron and all that stuff, when they know good and well they are. And then they implant it down here with the acorn symbolisms behind certain owls and their distinctions. But then the acorn reveals, and that's their tree back there. They got this great acorn tree where all these guardians are stationed, which is the same place. It's the moon. And in the bad place where the bad owls are, it's the same place. It's the moon. Both places are the moon. Both places are moon. And I can show you how I know, because that tree, that's even what I told you. There's that tree right there, guys. There's the wormwood. Early bird gets the worm. Early bird gets the worm. Wormwood, right? And then that turns into what? A nuclear destruction. And then guess what? Somebody being scooting off on a ship, getting a missile from somebody here on the moon the whole time. Wow, what would all that mean? Well, there's your tree on the moon. And then, of course, these guys are on the moon too. It's all the same location. And it's all the same cats behind these acorns right here. All the same cats. I'll be back.